Okay. So, all right, so morning announcements real quick. Today is the last day of our 20% off feeders sale. So if you have any feeders in mind that you want, all feeders are 20% off. The only thing it excludes is the smart feeder. So all other feeders, 20% off, ends today. We have a photo contest going on right now. So you can submit your photo. It's a nesting contest. So anything from a nesting pair to a one collecting nesting material to eggs to whatever nesting means to you in your yard. Submit your photo by Saturday, the 19th. You can bring it, you can print it off and bring it in, or you can email it and we'll print it off for you. And then voting will start on the 21st. We're closed for Easter. It'll start on the 21st. It'll end on the 5th, our last class here. And then we'll announce the winner the next day. So on the 6th, we'll announce the winner. But have your photos in by the 19th. I am going to, for those of you we didn't catch when you came in, I'm going to pass around this graduation sheet. Please, like last year, just write your name really legible. Yeah, legible. So this is what else. Does that sound right? This is what I'm going to be filling out your certificate from. So make it easy on me so I can get the spelling of your name right, because I would hate to get it wrong. So I'm going to pass this around. If you don't have your name on here, add it for me, okay? The time and date of the next class, just to remind everybody, usually it's the second Sunday of every month. The second Sunday in May is Mother's Day. So like last year, the last class will be May 5th, which is the 4th. Thank you, the 4th. So it'll be on the first Sunday. It'll also start at 10 because graduation will be at 11. So a week earlier and an hour earlier. And it'll be in the emails when it comes out, but I just wanted to announce that too. And then we do have some exciting news we wanted to share. So every year, you know, obviously we're a franchise, and we have our they call it ELC, but our conference, our annual conference every year. And every year there's a handful of awards that are handed out. One's like a Lifetime Achievement Award. They have one called a Save the Songbirds Hero Award, where 3 stores out of over 380 are chosen to win this award. And what that means is that you've gone above and beyond to reach out to the community, to get your customers and the community involved in saving the songbirds and all that kind of stuff. And I'm very happy to announce that we are one of the 3 winners for this year. So thanks to you guys. Thanks to you guys making this such a success. We are now an award-winning academy, or an award-winning university. Yes. Yes. So thank you guys for making it what it is and for having such a good interest in it. And that's what keeps us motivated to keep going, is you all and your all's interest. So there are days when we come in, I'm sure I can speak for everybody, where we're just like, ugh, I just don't feel like being here today. And then you see someone come in and they're just so excited to show you about what bird they have in their yard or whatever, and it's contagious. And so you guys, to me, it's an award for us, but it's also an award for you all. So I just wanted to say thank you. So, all right. I'm going to pass this around, and I went right on time. So yeah, if you haven't signed this, please put your name on there for me. I know you guys didn't, did you?
I just want to. We missed it.
Yeah. That's okay. Go ahead, because yeah, go ahead and put it on there.
Anyway, welcome. If you recall, and then last fall I passed around a list of all of the birds that are in Knox County. And I think it's pretty accurate. I may be off 1 or 2. I keep thinking about it and changing things. And if you're not from Knox County, if you're from Loudoun County or any county in the valley, it should be the exact same thing. If you're from Blount County or Sevier County or anything that borders the mountains, you're going to pick up birds that are high mountain birds that are not on the list. So, and this is one of my favorites, summer birds. This is going to test you a little bit. Now, last time we talked about the migratory birds that just kind of flash through. You may get a rose-breasted grosbeak at your feeder for a few days, but they're really just scooting on through. Today, these birds, many of them are scooting through as well, but they settle in. So these are, and by summer, it's really from mid-May or mid-April to about mid-September. These birds will be around, and they're not that easy to find. They don't necessarily come to your backyard, but they're here. And because they're here in the summertime, they raise their families here. They love to come to the Tennessee Valley to raise their families. But they raise their families in different locations, different places. So if you want to see some of these birds like this gorgeous thing, that's maybe my favorite on this list. We'll get to it in a minute. You got to go to a special place. Unless you live near the lake and it's a wood, and you've got woods near the lake, then you may have them, because that's their preferred habitat, is woods near water. Anyway, let's move on. So this group is going to really kind of start testing your identification skills. And how do you identify birds? You basically know field markings. Your Petersons or your Sibleys or any of your traditional field guides showed you all the field markings. Like before a bird, the warbler had a yellow front and a gray back. That's pretty distinctive. Vocalizations. This has become so much easier with Merlin. If you got a cell phone, download Merlin. It's a free app from Cornell. And all you got to do is, if you hear a bird you don't know, just hold it up and it'll tell you. I used to have to try to teach how to recognize 80 to 100 different bird songs. It'll make you crazy. Anyway, with Merlin, oh my gosh, that's up there. Where is it? Then you got to find it. So that's Merlin. Habitat. Different birds like different habitats. Simple as that. And I'm going to, as we work through this list, and I think I picked out about 20 that are easier to find. Well, some are harder to find, but where the particular habitat they prefer to be in. Then, as time of season, we already covered that. We're going to cover today the birds that are here from April to September. They migrate. They're migrating in, and by tradition, most migratory birds feed on insects. That's why they leave in the wintertime. Not enough insects. They come in to eat insects. And those lovely, lovely little fuzzy hot dogs called caterpillars, oh, they go nuts over them. And one of my favorites is the tiger swallowtail. Its host plant is tulip tree, some call tulip poplar. So that's where, and that's going to have, and they can be 80 feet tall, can have caterpillars scattered all over the leaves. So yum, yum. Yum, yum. I've never tried one yet. I've never eaten an earthworm, and it's on my to-do list. And I've never eaten a caterpillar, and that one's a little more hesitant because it's fuzzy-wuzzy. But I'm going to do it someday. I have to be able to describe that taste. Anyway, where we at? Behavior. In some cases, you may see a bird at a distance that's behaving oddly. And it's not odd to it, but to you, why is it doing that? So that in some cases you see a bird and you'll tell it, you'll start to figure it out simply by its behavior. Range. Ranges are constantly changing, but you can go to your cell phone or your Petersons or your Sibleys, and it'll have a range map of where each species is in the wintertime, where it migrates through, where it spends the summers and raises its young. So that's the range, but those are shifting. Birds, in some cases, ranges are dropping. In some cases, ranges are expanding. So that's constantly changing. And then I love this phrase by some smart birder, the jizz of the bird. Jizz, that means general impression of sound, shape, and a little size. That's the jizz. And so you may be looking at a bird and go, well, it's smaller than a chickadee. And that's kind of that's starting to give you, okay, it's a bird smaller than a chickadee. So anyway, that's kind of of it. Okay, I already mentioned migrate. Ever since the 1800s, we figured this out. In the 1800s, if you wanted a bird in a cage, you go out and catch a bird and put it in a cage. There was no laws to protect the bird. Thank God there is now. But that's how you would have a bird in a cage. But they started noticing, but certain times of year, certain birds would start banging on the south side of the cage. They wanted to migrate, so they would slam themselves. What is that poor bird doing? It would slam it. Of course, this time of year, it would be slamming on the north side of the cage. So wait a minute, it's got an urge to go in somewhere else. It doesn't want to be in my cage. So anyway, that's when they first started thinking, migrate? And it was actually Audubon who tied a piece of yarn around a phoebe in a cave up near where he lived. It nested at the entrance of a cave, and he wondered, does the same phoebe come back? And he caught one and put some red yarn around it. Today we put a bamboo number, and yes, indeed, the next year the same bird came back. So that's slowly how we started to figure all this out. Okay, here's the first one, generally back. And we're all so excited. I had one at my house on April 7. You were April 5, we think. So they are coming back. They're coming back. If you don't have your feeders out, get your feeder out. But they're coming back. Initially, it is probably males that are passing through. They're going, our birds want to go close to where their home is. My home is Gatlinburg, and that's my sense of home. So every bird has a sense of where they're going. So all the early hummingbirds that you're seeing are probably male, and they're probably headed to southern Canada, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, wherever, where their home is. But they're passing through, and they'll stop and sip, 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 and take off. And then, of course, you all know already, we've covered it a dozen times, the females have a white throat. The male has a bronze, the ruby throat, and the female has a white throat. The females follow later. We talked about this with the cerulean warbler last time. The males have to rush through to claim territory, so when the female shows up, she'll pick him. So that's kind of how it is. You gotta claim it, gotta claim it. So then you'll start seeing females, and typically by mid-May, the hummingbirds you have in your yard are your hummingbirds. That's our hummingbirds. They're back. There's no more migration. They came to pretty close to where they were born, probably. That's hummingbirds. Oh, I love this one. I'm surrounded by woods. And this one, I usually, with luck, although the numbers seem to be dropping to my ear, I don't hear as much as I used to, is a wood thrush. And it'll come into the understory in the woods around me. And this one looks very much like the hermit thrush that have spent the winters with us. But the hermit thrush, they're going to move out, move north. And then we covered last month the migratory thrushes, the Swenson's thrush and the great sheep thrush. They're just passing through too. This is our resident wood thrush. And many birders will say they are the absolute best singers. They have 2 vocal cords. They sing in harmony with themselves. And it creates kind of a reverb. And so there's and the mnemonic is Eole, Eole, chicka, chicka, chicka. And it's got this gorgeous hollow sound. And so many birders will say that is our best singer. So start listening for this wonderful Eole, chicka, chicka. But they do, they like shrubs, they like an understory in the woods. But their numbers are dropping, and that concerns me. We won't go there, bad news. But anyway, to identify it, pretty easy. This, the brown thrasher is the bird on the left. We have that year round. It's as big as a mockingbird, but it's got similar markings in that it's a brownish on the back with white breasts and spots, where wood thrush is a little more petite, and the thrasher has a yellow eye. So we got brown thrashers that hide in the understory year round. They're here all the time, and they're great singers, but they don't have that magical flute-like quality, and their songs tend to be more here and there. They sing a lot of phrases. Let's move on. Who's next? This one is more common than you probably think. This one, although to my ear, their numbers are dropping. These guys eat caterpillars. They eat those fuzzy little hot dogs hanging on up there on the leaves. It's a yellow-billed cuckoo. They don't have a musical sound. It's more like a dog barking or something clucking or something. It's not musical at all. But last year I didn't hear them, but it didn't seem as many as I'm used to hearing around me. But and they are canopy birds. That's their habitat. They're high up in the tree. That's where the hot dogs are, high up in the trees, up to high. You really will never see one down low that often. And what you will often see, because they're hidden in a canopy, they have a long black tail with big white spots. You can't miss that. So once you hear that, and it sounds like it's coming from a distance, just start looking, just hold your Merlin up and it'll tell you exactly what it is. But it's a yellow-billed cuckoo, does have a yellow bill. And again, another bird I'm worried about dropping. We're losing caterpillars because we're losing butterflies. In the last 20 years, we've lost 22% of all butterflies. And that's going to affect birds too. That's the bad news. Let's move on. Now here's one of those behaviors you'll notice. It's called hawking. Typically, it's the flycatchers. They'll perch on a branch and then fly out and grab a flying insect and fly right back to the same spot. So it's called hawking. That's their place to watch. And you'll see a bird go, "Whoop, whoop." What's it doing? It's flying out and grabbing a flying insect and flying right back. That's what it's doing. So it is called hawking. And let's see, who have I got? Here's the small one. It's the easternwood pewee. It doesn't have a lot of field markings, and it's kind of small. It does have the wing bars, but this one tells you what it is. It's mnemonic. To remember its name is pewee, pewee. That's the mnemonic, and again, a mnemonic is just a memory phrase so you can remember the cadence. Well, it's not really saying pewee. Anyway, pewee, it'll tell you what it is. Oh, there you are, and you're hawking, just like he said you would do. So that's the little easternwood pewee, pewee. The great crested flycatcher. This is the only flycatcher that has a lovely crest. These you find woods near water. At Ines, I worked in it for many of you, I think many or most of you know, I worked at Ines Nature Center for 20 years. And if you've ever been there, there's a river trail that goes along the river. They would nest there, and we would hear them and see them. And the unique thing about great crested flycatcher, they'll use a nest box. They'll take a nest box. They'll use a screech owl box, a wood duck box, a bluebird box, any box that you put along the trail, and they have a great sense of decor, a great sense of decoration. They will look for a shed snakeskin and bring it into the nest. They'll use it in the nest, and then often it'll be hanging out of the nest. I wonder why they would do that. Obviously, the theory is it scares a raccoon to death. Oh my gosh, there's a snake up there. They'll even use cellophane. If they find, well, not many of us smoke anymore, but the cellophane that's around a pack of cigarettes, they'll find that and dangle it out. It's in the nest, but that's one of their little tricks. So they're a flycatcher that's also a secondary cavity nester, meaning they'll use a box or really a hole in the tree. So I'll get that good. Who's next? Eastern kingbird. This is one of the few Latin names I like to say, Tarantus tarantus. That poor bird. How could it have such a moniker? Gray on top, field markings, gray on top, white underneath. It tends to be in a tree overlooking a field, an area that's clear. It's got a white tip on the tail, and why it's the kingbird, it hawks bees.
Oh.
Not a bit afraid of a bee. It'll fly out, grab a bee, fly back, beat it to death, and then eat it. That's Tarantus tarantus right there. So if you're watching a bird, man, bees are easier to see. It'll fly out and grab the bee and come back, beep, beep, beep. I did read there was a study. When we think of bee, we think of honeybee. Yes, we have honeybees, but we have a lot more species of bees than just one. So they're not out there. They did studies. They don't, where they would watch a kingbird near someone that kept honeybees, like my dad used to do. And it didn't do that much damage to the honeybees. It was after any bees. There's over 100 species of bees in this country. And bees are different from wasps. Bees really don't want to sting you. You have to kind of make them. Wasps have attitudes. You avoid a wasp, but these guys would go after a wasp too. Anyway, where we at? Oh, the little petite one. The blue-gray gnatcatcher. I wonder what it eats. It eats gnats. So if you see one of those swarms of gnats, don't run and get your pesticides. In fact, throw your pesticides away. We're doing way too much damage. It'll grab all those gnats it can. And oddly, if you know what a hummingbird nest looks like, and when we did our hummingbird talk, I had photos. These guys build a nest that looks very similar to a hummingbird nest. It's very small, and they look like kind of a miniature mockingbird, but they sing so high, I no longer can hear it. It's above. 6 to 8.5 kilohertz, and that's kind of above my hearing range anymore, so I don't hear them like you used to, but it's very high and wispy. So you hear it very high. But again, Merlin will tell you. Merlin came along at a really good time for my hearing as it's aging. Thank you, Cornell. Who's next? Indigo bunting. I used to get, the people would call me and I said, we're gonna go see an indigo bunting. They're so beautiful. Yes, they are beautiful. At Imes, if you're familiar with Imes, there's a visitor center in that grass area all the way around the front. That's kind of where indigo buntings love to be. They love to be on trees near an opening. Another great place, if you got a power line clearing over a ridge near you, they want to be in the trees with the clearing around them. And they have to have perfect light. To look that way, the sun has to be on them. If the sun's not right, they look jet black. So when that light hits them, that's one of the most beautiful birds I've ever seen. So that's indigo bunting. They nest lower. She's way down in the shrubs, but he typically, because he wants that bright light, you will see them at the tippy top of a tree. So they're not hidden. He's up there going, you wanted to see an indigo bunting, so here I am. Take a good look. Now these, if they get back too soon, they eat insects, and if they get back too soon and can't find insects, they will come down and eat seeds. I've had them come down and I go, you're an indigo bunting. You should be up there eating those fuzzy worms. But that's part of the issue. The insect populations are dropping. So let's move on. Don't want to. Blue grosbeak. Really kind of tough to find these little boys. They're related to cardinals. It looks like a cardinal. It's got that big sunflower seed chunking bill, but they really are non-urban. They don't come in urban. If you want to find one, you really go find a good fence, good barbed wire fence somewhere. You can find them in 7 Islands. If people call me and say, where can I go find a blue grosbeak? I gotta have it. Gotta have it on my life list. 7 Islands is former farmland. That's slowly kind of being regrown. So that's where they love, former farmland. Yeah.
I was gonna say indigo buntings and blue grosbeaks are plentiful on Hyatt Lane in Cades Cove.
Hyatt Lane, Cape, well, that makes sense.
Yes.
Former farmland. You hear that?
If you want to see
Cades
them,
Cove, Hyatt Lane.
Yeah.
And that's where we catch monarch butterflies in the fall and tag them. Okay. So that's a blue grosbeak. It's got the brown on its shoulders, and it's chunkier and bigger than an indigo bunting. And not quite as intense blue, but that's where to go. Former farmland and non-urban, really. So that's blue grosbeak. Oh, now we got challenges here. Red-eyed vireo. I remember when I first taken bird classes in the 1980s, I was so excited. I was around experienced bird people. I thought, wow, I want to see that red eye. You're lucky to ever see the bird, let alone the red eye. They tend to be they're canopy birds, very high, but fairly common. And vireos do a thing called gleaning. They don't hawk, they don't fly and grab an insect and fly back. They fly out to a leaf and grab a fuzzy caterpillar or whatever insect and fly back. So they glean off the leaves, not out flying around. And these guys, they know you want to see them. They're high in the canopy. They're kind of, and you'll never see the red eye, but they chatter all day long, and it's really kind of conversational. It's not like a catbird, and we'll get at it in a minute, but it's like, it's like the mnemonic is, I'm up here. You want to see me? Just look up. I'm over your head. I'm up here. And so I love grad students. There was one grad student, his job was to count how many phrases in a day, 20,000. They go from morning till end of day. I'm up here. I'm above your head. Just look up. Come on, look up. You won't see my red eye. Anyway, if you're out on your deck and you hear that, what is that? That just never stops. It doesn't stop until dark. So that's kind of, you hear it, you hear this odd, soft vocalization like he's chatting to you or just kind of whispering to you. So that's the red-eyed vireo. And here's a vireo. I only picked out 2 vireos, I thought. Here's the vireo that's much lower. They like shrubbery, but they stay hidden. White-eyed vireo. White-eyed, white-ring, you can't miss it. But they like to hide in the shrubs. And you may be, I used to, when I'd lead bird walks down the river trail at Imes, there was a shrubby area, and I knew we'd always find one of these in the summertime. And the mnemonic is wonderful. Quick, wait a rear check, please. Quick, wait a rear check, please. So that's what it sounds like it's saying. What's that rear check? Quick, wait a rear check, please. But it's in the bush. You say, I just want one little look at you, buddy. And you do a thing that birders do called pishing. And that's supposed to sound like an alarm song from a mockingbird. All birds have alarm calls to tell all other birds, watch out. And we imitate it by going, it's called pishing. But if you do that, if you think, I would do that, and it would hop up on the top of the shrub and go, what is it, what is it? And everybody, oh wow, then it disappear again. So you can pish it out if you want to see it, but that's not, but the mnemonic, maybe my favorite mnemonic, quick with a beer check, please. But that's the vireo. You check our time, we're doing kind of well. I think I can slow down just a bit. Peace you guys. Gray catbird. Sitting in the catbird seed means you're sitting in a favorable location. Gray cat. If you got the blackberry thicket, they love blackberry thickets. But that's where you often see them. And gray all over with a dark gray cap, and then the coverts on the back are kind of a chestnut color, so that's the field marking. But these, remember, we've already covered the topic of, there's 3 species of bird locally: the mockingbird, the brown thrasher, which I had a photo earlier, and the catbird. They're all mimic learners. They're constantly learning the bird songs, sounds, chainsaws, whatever, and they add it to their repertoire. And the older males, and they do that, they continue. Most birds learn their vocalizations their first year of life. And it took me 14 years. But anyway, slow learner. Mom kept working with me. Oh, bless her heart. Anyway, so you may be sitting out somewhere in here, anyway, to tell the difference just by sound from the mockingbird, the thrasher, and the catbird, the mockingbird repeats each phrase 3 or more times. So if you're listening, the mockingbird will go, check that, check that, check that, whoop, whoop, whoop. So you, wait a minute, he's doing it 3 times. That's a mockingbird. The thrasher, it's so easy the way they do, so helpful the way they do this. The brown thrasher does it twice. Choo, choo, do it. So twice. You're sitting there counting, okay. And then the catbird once. Chuck, and then to seal the deal, where the name comes from, they'll go, meow. So to somebody, that sounded like a cat. That's where the name comes from. Meow. So they throw that one phrase in, and the mockingbird going, how does he do that? So anyway, that's the gray catbird. Now I'm going to really razzle dazzle you. Common nighthawk. Not a hawk. Not that common. Some of these birds are just named beautifully, but this one, it's not a hawk. It's not, who named it? They didn't call me first. But it is in the nightjar family. And they're active at night, but they're not owls. We have 3 species locally generally, and you typically don't see them well, you hear them. But this one, the nighthawk, you can see if you go to a baseball game at night. They're not back yet, I don't think, but they'll be flying around the bright lights, eating all the insects. You'll look up, what's that bird doing out at night? It's filling its tummy with the rain. So anywhere a neighborhood is brightly lit, or the Kroger parking lot, or whatever, they'll be flying around, and their song is simple. Peep, peep, sounds a lot like American woodcock in the spring that's passing through. Peep, peep, but you'll notice it and see it by that behavior, flying around. So, but look at it. Now I'm gonna really, just look how muddy in the water. We've got these two birds that are related to it. The top one is the whippoorwill, the bottom one is the chuck-will's widow, and all three are they're all in the nightjar family, meaning they jar the night with their sounds, whereas the nighthawk does pint, pint. These two tell you their names. The whippoorwill will go whippoorwill, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. Their numbers are really dropping. If you grew up on a farm or you visited your grandparents on a farm and it was night, you would hear this bird. And then the bottom one is chuck-will's widow, and chuck-will's widow. We're lucky the chuck-will's widow range is here south, summertime range. The whippoorwill's range is here north. And we're lucky that we live in the middle of Tennessee and those two ranges overlap. In my first book, I write about going to Chota, which is the Cherokee peace town, to hear these two birds at twilight, at dark. It was getting dark, so I'd take bird groups out there. And Charlotte went once or more than once. Anyway, so, but if you're only hearing it, and you're probably not seeing it, the emphasis for the whippoorwill is the final phrase, whippoorwill, whippoorwill, whippoorwill. Whereas for the chuck-will's widow, the emphasis is the first phrase, chuck-will's widow, chuck-will's widow. So even in the dock, even though you're not seeing the bird, you can tell the difference. And if you go to Chota, although I've not been in several years, their numbers are, both of these are dropping. These again are insect eaters. But it's possible there, again, I write about it in the first book, that you'll hear both birds at one place. Again, the nighthawk, go to a baseball game. Just go to a baseball game. So that's three birds that you'll rarely see, except, the nighthawk you're gonna see flying around the lights. These two birds you rarely see it, but you'll hear it. You'll hear it, and it's out in the woodsland somewhere. They like to live woods near a disturbed area. So that's whippoorwill and chuck-will's widow. Who we at? Common yellowthroat. Witchy witch. This is one of the warblers that stay with us. And they like to be in cattails or thickets near water. If you live near a place that's got a wetland, a seasonal wetland or a wetland that's got cattails and rushes and typical plants that grow in that kind of a very damp area, this is where you may find one. And luckily, most warblers are like 50 feet off the ground. These guys are at eye level, bouncing around in that kind of habitat. And the mnemonic is witchy witch. And witchy witch, and it'll hop up. So they're fairly easy to find for a warbler and fairly distinctive looking. Yes, indeed, got a yellow throat. But that's where you find them. Their preferred habitat is kind of damp, riparian zone areas near water where those kind of plants grow. So that's the common yellowthroat. Who's next? Now we got a bigger warbler. It's a much bigger warbler. And yellow-breasted chat, and it's similar in that it chats. More, not like the red-eyed vireo, but it's really more almost conversational. These guys make an odd collection of sounds that's really more like the catbird, even though they're not related, but they chat. And it'll be the 7 islands, or again, probably Caves Cove. You'll be walking along and you'll hear this combination of things. You may think, is that a catbird? But you'll never hear a meow. So anyway, this is the yellow-breasted chat. They set up and chat. But it's not beautifully conversational. It's just a bunch of sounds, really. So that's the yellow-breasted chat. Okay, hold on to your seat. Oh my God, do I love this bird. This may be my favorite. If you've never seen one, put it on your bucket list. You gotta go find a prothonotary warbler. Look at that gorgeousness. It is a warbler that does nest here, a bright yellow, intense yellow, woods on a shoreline is where you'll find them. So at Imes, I would be lucky, down the river, I'm telling you some places you may find one, down the river trail at Imes, that goes right along the river, where the boardwalk is, that's where you're here. It's almost easier to see them in a canoe looking back, but you can't quite easily do that. So just listen for sweet, 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 sweet. You go, yes, you're so sweet, where the heck are you? Or if you go to Seven Islands, I go down the paved trail, across the bridge, and down to the very end of the island. And they've even been so kind to put a bench up there. It's the last place I saw one, and it was just bouncing around the bench. I was overjoyed. I taught this class at Imes probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I told the class, when we finish, we're going to go down to the river trail to try to find a prothonotary warbler. If we find it, it'll change your life. You'll become a birder for life. You go, hey, are there more birds as gorgeous? So anyway, again, let's see, I got other photos. Used to be called the golden swamp warbler because they do like water, trees near water. And the name, prothonotary. What did that name come from? There was a time in the Catholic Church and other where you would have a clerk who dressed in that color robes. And that color he was called a prothonotary. He kept the notes. He was not the clerk, he was the prothonotary. So that's where the name comes from. And he would wear those golden robes. I love this cartoon. He was writing about prothonotary warblers, no doubt. Anyway, here's another angle. My friend Betty saw it, but again, it is electric yellow. You cannot misidentify it. You just got to be in the right spot. And if you live woods near water, the shoreline, just maybe. And if you think maybe, you can put up a box. They will use boxes. It's the only warbler that's a secondary cavity nester. Now here is in a woodpecker hole, but you can put up a box, like a bluebird box, on a tree facing the water, right there. And if it's on your property, you might get a nesting prothonotary warbler. And you'll call all of your friends, kind of like having a hummingbird in December. You'll call all of your friends, come on down, you got to see this bird. Because it's going to be, and they're nesting, so they're going to be there several weeks before they leave. So that's the prothonotary warbler. Another bird I'm very, very, very worried about is the chimney swift. They are kind of sort of secondary cavity nesters, and historically they would nest in hollow trees. When our ancestors came through, they cut down all the hollow trees for firewood, and then the chimney swallows use your chimney, and so they started nesting in our chimneys. And then we put caps on the chimneys. So they're like, and are related to hummingbirds. They fly all day long. They're constantly in flight eating bug. And so they're great to have. And we used to have flocks of 30 and 40 flying around UT Hospital and around my house. But now I don't see that. I see flocks of 6. So I'm very worried about this one species, chimney swift. We're now into the swifts and swallows. But I'm worried. They eat anything it eats primarily or only anything is only an insectivore I'm worried about. You may see these things out in the country here and there. This one was built, we built it at Imes at Meads Quarry. It's a fake chimney. And they used it. So, okay, looks like a chimney to me. And the only thing we had to do is, the bottom portion is aluminum, it's to keep raccoons from climbing up it. But it's sealed at the bottom, and raccoons can't climb over it, and so we would get chimney swifts. So if you're driving around the country and see what looks like a chimney out in the middle of nowhere, that's what it's for. It's for chimney swifts.
How tall is it?
How tall are they? I'm guessing 30 feet, maybe 40. I mean, it's tall. It's like a chimney. I'm puting myself beside it at Imes and trying to multiply me by 3. No, that would multiply me by 5. Okay, move on. Purple martin, let's finish off the rest of the swifts and swallows. And again, the swifts and swallows are here to eat our bugs. That's what they're here for. But purple martin, it's really will look black under most lights. and you've probably driven around and seen one of these. Those are gourds, and you're trying to attract purple martins. They tend to be closer to the water. This needs to be close to water, but they're colonial nesters, and each one of those will have a different pair of purple martins living in, and they're all day long they're flying out and eating insects, eating flies, eating all those things you really don't want. And then they leave all the bees to the kingbirds. Say, okay, I'm not gonna eat that bee, it's yours. And then we got the tree swallow. This will use your bluebird box, perfectly fine. Some people will go, no, only for bluebirds. No, there's several protected species that can use your bluebird box. Just kumbaya. I mean, there's some people, I'm gonna kill it. No, you can't. Anyway, you simply can't, it's protected. Now, when it comes to house sparrows or English sparrows, those you can rip out. Those are not protected, they're not native. Most people can't do it. Can you reach in and see a bunch of baby birds? I'm gonna kill you. I can't. Now, technically, legally, you can take them in and raise them and put them in a little cage. You can do that with starlings too. Whoa. Let's move on. Tree swallow, and the one thing, if you got tree swallows in your box and you want to keep them, they love feathers. Whereas the great crested flycatcher loves snakeskin. If you go to a craft store and buy a bag of feathers, it's usually chicken feathers, and just spread it all over your yard, they will pick it up, and that's how she lines her nest with feathers, if you want to befriend them. And they get back early, and they finish early, clean the box out, and no bluebird reuses the next time. Northern rough-winged swallow. These nest in muddy banks and are constantly flying up and down the river, eating all the insects that fly above the water. You rarely see them away from the water, and they tend to use a hole in the muddy bank that was probably carved out by a brown, what am I thinking of? Brown, kingfisher. You know, if you can remember it in 5 or 10 minutes, it's okay. So that's if you see a flock of birds just going up and down the river together, they're eating insects, and it's probably a northern rough-winged swallow. Barn swallow, they do nest in barns, pavilions, any kind of an out structure. They've adapted to human beings, just like the chimney swift did. And they'll build on any place they can find a substrate in a pavilion or around your house even. So that's a barn swallow. And they're not quite colonial, they don't just nest in a colony, but there may be 3 or 4 nests nearby each other. They can tolerate each other. Cliff swallow, this is the famous, we owe this one maybe in part to TVA. This is the famous swallow from San Juan Capistrano in California, but their populations are doing very well, and their populations slowly move. Again, their range is expanded, and then TVA built up all these lovely dams and bridges. It's like they built those for the cliff swallows. So the cliff swallows said, yeah, this is perfect. This is what we want, a cliff. So anyway, you gotta hand it to they'll nest side by side. Each pair builds a little globe-like, vase-like nest with mouthfuls of mud. If this is your lot in life, you build your home by flying to a muddy hole and picking up a mouthful of mud and flying it up and putting it into place. Now they're built so well they last. So next, when the new season comes, the first pair of cliff swallows back will claim an old, it's already built, held up strong. But if you're a newbie, you gotta go build one by yourself. But that's at 7 Islands, there's a bridge there they nest on, and there's a mud hole there, they all grab mud up. So that's what they're doing. And getting close to the end, like we want. Green heron. These are very petite, kind of secretive, hidden herons, not like the gray blue heron, which is this tall. These guys are more like this tall. They're built to camouflage and blend in. They like a pond with woods around it, and they'll hide in that background. And they're patient hunters, so they look for a pond that's got greenery all around it, so they can hunt. But they're very short-legged, And they eat fish, just like the other. They, very good fishermen. Who's left? Ooh. Black crowned night heron. I would get phone calls at Imes. I think I just saw a penguin. Do we have penguins? Yeah, I think they may be at the zoo, but no. No, I just saw a penguin. It looks like a penguin. And I go, oh no, you saw a night heron. They're just standing there like penguins, and they're not active at night, they're active at twilight. That's when all of a sudden they're up and down, finding food, finding food, finding food, finding food. So dusk and dawn is when they're active, and then at night they're sitting there looking like a penguin, and all day long they're sitting there looking like a penguin. So yes, if you're driving around, is that a penguin over there? No, it's not. It's a night heron. We also have a yellow-crowned night heron that every time I see a report of it seems to come from Maryville. So I think they're more around the Greenway and Maryville, but there's not as many, so I decided just to put this one, and they look alike, except the yellow-crowned night heron does have yellow on the top of his head. And last but not least, and just in time, I told Tiffany I'd practice this. They're already back. This is a preview of next month's topic, birds of prey. Ospreys are already back. So far, the only two birds on this list I personally have seen are hummingbirds and ospreys. And ospreys are already building nests. I've seen them fly around. They get here early because it takes a long time to raise an osprey. And but they're back, and they'll use the same nest over and over. They're like eagles in this way. They'll build a nest in a tree, usually a sycamore tree out over the water somewhere, or a power line or a power pole, or TV used to have, and probably still do have, osprey platforms set up. They want a solid substrate that they can add sticks to, and they'll use it year after year and just refurbish it. I think it's a phone tower behind Kroger's that has one. I haven't checked them this year, but I assume there's back there. Next time you go, I may go today. Next time, I need gas now to think about it. I go to Kroger's up at Bearden, and behind the gas station, there's I think it's a phone line pole, but there's an osprey platform, or ospreys have used it. And I think that's it. Yes?
There is an osprey nest with an osprey in it on North Shore by the Cove, by the park there.
Okay.
There's a baseball field.
Yeah,
There's about 1,000 osprey nests there.
Yep.
Yeah.
that's
They
perfect
They catch the
habitat.
lights on fire there.
And they do like a substrate.
Yeah.
Any kind of really solid substrate. And again, they will use the same pair. They migrate out. So they're coming back, they're summer birds, and they get back early, and with luck, both male and female survive. Hey, hi, how was your winter down in,
Florida.
Tampa? But if both don't make it, then, there's an article in I think it's the recent Audubon, that these guys are in trouble again. They were in trouble by DDT. I'm not sure, I haven't read it yet. I should have prepared better. I'll be totally prepared in 1 month. I promise. Anyway, yes.
There's also a pair nesting if you're on 321 going toward Maryville, right at the bridge on the left, right next to the
Okay.
bridge. So you can pull down into the dam parking lot, and they're right below you. So you can watch them forever. And then also there's I don't know I can't remember if it's yellow crowned or black crowned night heron at Lenore City Park, where the pavilion is. There's huge cedar trees there.
Yes, I know. Okay,
there are some that nest there every year, and nobody notices them. They're huge too, and they're right in that tree, right next to the pavilion.
That's the night heron.
Yes.
So did everyone here, this is what birders do. Oh, by the way, did you know, if you want to see a night heron, go to Lenore City Park, and there's a pavilion with cedar trees along the shoreline. And if you want to see an osprey, there's several places. And
while you're there, at Mountain Hill, there is a nesting pair of bald eagles. So you can make a little trip right there and see a
We'll
lot.
talk more about bald eagles in a month, but they weren't here historically. That's one of the, pat yourselves on the back. You've already patted yourselves on the back because you helped bring back bluebirds. Bald eagles are back too. There's other birds that are in trouble that we need to focus on. Anything that eats a caterpillar, we need to focus on. We can't kill the butterflies. Yes?
I think I know the answer to this, but I have 3 different nests in my yard. 2 are in conifers trees, and 1 is on a little basket on my porch. Is it okay if I like wait for the bird to go away and look like with a mirror to see if there's eggs in there? Or will that freak them out? I mean, should I
Well,
not?
it's gonna
ever
freak
look?
them out. Yes, it'll she's wanting to check a nest to see if there's eggs in it or young ones. Yes, it will freak the parents out, it would freak you out, but they're not gonna leave.
Okay.
When you back away, I mean,
They'll come
birds are incredibly wonderful parents. So, yeah, you can look with a mirror, just don't pick it up.
No.
But even if you find a baby bird that's been pushed out of the nest, perfectly fine to pick it up and put it back.
Really?
They will take care of it. You don't have to call a rehabber to raise the baby. You just put it back and walk away, and mom and dad will feed it. They'll feed it on the ground, but it's not safe on the ground. So anyway, yes, you can look. And obviously your bluebird boxes, look, and if they're done, they're done. Clean it out and let the next family come in. Yes?
Did you call that, one bird a kingfisher, the one that ate the bees?
Kingbird,
Kingbird.
eastern kingbird. We do have a kingfish, belted kingfisher is the bird that makes holes in a muddy bank for the rough-winged swallows to use later. Okay.
I had one at my feeder this morning,
A what?
the one that eats the bees.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
I
not
know
find any
I
bees.
watched him, he's not, he went on my feeder and he went to the ground, the grass, and he went to the feeder again, and then he left, and
Okay.
I'd never
She
seen one
had
like
a,
that.
she had a kingbird at her, they're hungry. And, again, we're losing insects. Don't use pesticides. That's bird food and pollinators, okay? I think we need to wrap, cause these guys need to open their shop.
I have one more thing I forgot to say
Uh-oh.
before. Birds and Brews, the tickets are available now. I know it's a ways out, but some people were asking, so, we've got a sign here and there's one at each register. You can either just take a picture of it to have the information, but if you scan that QR code, it'll take you right to Eventbrite to buy the tickets. So I just want to say that I know people were asking last month, so it's live and it's available.
I'll be there too.
Thank you.